Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys? I am so happy to be with you, like always, because I absolutely love what I do. Really, that's the best way to explain it. But I absolutely love what I do. I love that I get to come on here and make cards and show you how to make these awesome projects. So sit back, relax, and stay a while. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up, share my video, subscribe please. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get started. This whole series is on Daisy Garden, and it is a background stamp. So it is a very large stamp, and it sits, it fills this whole case. Here's the opening where it actually comes out of. I have it attached to my Stamparatus, and I'm going to show you how to use that in a few minutes. But it fills up quite a bit. And we're also pairing it with Slim Sayings, which is where I got this amazing saying right here. Isn't this so cool? So let me move this stuff out of the way and let's get started crafting so that I can show you how fun it is to make this card. So I'm going to move it off to the side here. Hopefully you guys can see. I'm going to kind of put it up in the corner there and out of my way. This card is fairly simple. Did I show you the inside? Probably not, because I'm so excited to get started. But let me show you the inside real quick. There's another daisy on the inside there. So let me show you how it works. So we are using today the Stamparatus. I absolutely love my Stamparatus. I use it a lot. I'm going to move my card a little bit off camera here because I need a little more room with the Stamparatus to show it to you properly. So how it works is you attach your stamp to the plate. Now you can use this for small stamps too. It doesn't have to be for big backgrounds, but you see how big this stamp is? The cool thing about the Stamparatus is that it stamps down onto a board, and there's magnets that come with it, and there's actually another clear plate. It comes with 2 plates, so you can do 2-step stamping rather easily. Definitely check out my video on the Stamparatus so that you guys can see how awesome it is to use. But for right now, let me just show you how we're going to make this come to life. So we are going to take a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch what do you call it? Oh, I can't even talk. Crumb cake. I'm like, what color? Huh? Yeah, crumb cake. So we're going to place this down onto our base of our Stamparatus, and we are going to be using the Memento ink pad, which is our Tuxedo black ink. You can see I have some on here. I didn't wipe it off because I was getting ready to use it again. So I'm using the black, and we're just going to ink the entire surface. I'm not using the magnets today because I'd need a much larger piece of cardstock, and in my opinion, for this particular card, we don't need it. It doesn't move the cardstock. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna close this over, and we're gonna press it down onto that piece of cardstock. So we're gonna make a fist with our hand, and we're going to slide that fist over the top, and we're going to press. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go with my thumb and press over each of these daisies. So I'm just giving it a little bit of extra pressure. And if you want to stand up, which I just am doing right now, it helps give you even more. And so the reason I'm going over this is because this stamped set has fine lines, and you want those lines to really pop. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. I'm going to be real careful, because if there's a spot like right there that needs a little extra love, we're going to push on that middle daisy. See on this side here, it needs a little extra, so I probably didn't push good enough there. So let me push in that one spot. Let's open and see how it looks now. Looks way better. If I want to, I can add a little extra ink there. And so the cool thing is that it doesn't move from its spot, so I can Put a little extra ink on that daisy and bring it back. I'm going to push on that one corner there. And there you go. That's the nice thing about the Stamparatus, is that you can re-ink and press down. So we have a very nice covering of ink. I'm going to grab this scrap paper here and put it on the inside so I don't have to clean my Stamparatus right now. Move that out of the way. We're going to be using the watercolor pencils, and our base piece of cardstock is our Daffodil Delight, and it is 8.5 by 5.5. And I'm going to score it down the middle by folding it over on itself and using my bone folder to press a crease into that cardstock right there. So here's our card. Now we're going to color this piece. We're going to use our watercolor pencils. So the main watercolor pencils, there's two sets. There's a second set, and this is the first set. Let me grab the second one so I can show you what it looks like. So this one's assortment 2. This one's number 1. I'm using number 1. Trying to put this back in my drawer now. Oh boy. Sometimes when you unearth things that you don't plan on unearthing, things roll in their way, right? Okay, so we're going to grab our 3 pencils out of here. We're going to be using, on the back it tells you the colors that are in here. We're going to use white, we're going to use Daffodil Delight, and we're going to use Old Olive. So I've already set those up right here so that I could see them. But the other colors that are in this assortment are Real Red, Calypso Coral, Pumpkin Pie, Bermuda Bay, Pacific Point, Rich Razzleberry, Melon Mambo, Early Espresso, Basic Gray, Basic Black, in addition to these 3. So it's a nice little assortment of pencils. So what we're going to do next is we're going to color the daisies. So we're going to go ahead and take our white, and we're going to just color over our petals, just like this. We're going to color our centers. And we are going to color our stems and leaves. Like that. And when we're done coloring, we're going to cut them out. We're going to use our paper snips, and then for these little inner pieces, you can use an X-Acto knife, or you can pierce your paper snips in and then cut around those. But when you're done, you're going to have this. So here is my die cut, or hand cut, not die cut, fussy cut daisies after they've been colored. And so we're going to figure out which ones we want to put on our card. So if I bring my other card in, I've used this one and this one up here with these 2 below it, kind of angled like this onto my card. This is the one that's over here with this one, and then here we have our little flower, our small flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my small paper trimmer in, but you can use a regular trimmer, and I'm going to place that guy underneath, and I'm just going to cut straight across like this and angle cut through these daisies. I definitely don't want to cut that yellow center. I want that, and I want some of the leaves, but I don't want to cut this daisy off right here. So I'm going to make sure that it's not in the blade, and I'm just going to angle cut right across like that. Okay, and then this is what we're left with right here. Okay, and I'm going to trim this piece apart here. I'm just going to bring in my paper snips, and I'm just going to separate this one from this one so that I can lay them exactly how I want them to look. So I'm just going to snip those apart so we have 2 sections. All right, let's get my paper trimmer out of the way. So this is section number 1, and it is going to lay like so onto my card. I might, you know, have it go off a little bit off the side. Then we're going to angle this one on here. And I want this little flower, this little small flower, so I'm just going to snip right here. And then I will add that on to the edge here and then trim away what I don't need. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some dimensionals. So I'm going to grab my minis. This is my scrap piece. And then we have our large. And I'm going to go ahead and start with this big section first. So we're going to use the large dimensionals. We're just going to put a few of them on the back here. But you want enough on here that you have a nice amount of support. Maybe one more here. Then I'm going to switch to the smaller ones because I can fit those and tuck them into these smaller spots. I love that we have the minis and the regular size. Like, see how I can tuck these little minis into these little corners here? So I'm just going to add maybe one more mini right here. And let's go ahead and pull the backs off. I'm going to move my watercolor pencils out of the way so that we have room here in the camera for you guys to see everything I'm doing. Get those pencils put away. All right, so I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to pull the backs off of these guys. All right, we're going to attach this layer first. So I'm going to kind of go with the angle that I cut here, but it's okay if you overhang them to the side. We can snip that off. So we're going to go ahead and lay that section on. Now we're going to do our next section. So we're going to flip that over. And I'm going to start with the large or the normal, the Stampin' Dimensionals. They're called Stampin' Dimensionals and Mini Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm just going to start with those, and I'm going to put, I think, one more here. And then I think I want to add some minis. I need one up in this corner here. I just don't want any of it to fall at all because this is the only thing that's holding it. And see this piece here? I'm going to attach an actual little line. I use the mini section here when we have like a long piece. I just cut like a line here, and that's what I'm going to use to lift that section. I'm also going to support that center section there. So I'm cutting a few just so that there's support in those thinner spots of my card. I'm going to actually lay another one right here because I really want there to be plenty of support there. Okay, so we're good now. And I'm going to go ahead and pull these strip pieces first. Get the backs off of them. They're a little bit harder to remove than the regular size backs. So I always start with those. And then we're going to pull the rest of them off. 3 more to go. And the last one. And then we can place this piece down. So you can see we're just building our little card here. And see, by adding that dimensional there, that even that stem has support right there on that thin spot, so it won't break or buckle or anything under there. And then here's our last piece. And so this one I'm gonna kind of angle, and I'm gonna end up trimming it. So I think I'm gonna come in like this from the side. I just wanna add a little bit on there. So I think I'm just going to put a mini dimensional here. I'm going to add another mini one right here, and then I'm going to cut some strips. So let's put some down that stem there. Let's put one here and one a little farther down. Oops. I don't know if that's stuck on there very well. I might have to cut another one. I might have cut that too skinny. Oh no, it made it. Okay, so there's that one. This piece here, I don't think we need anything because it's going to be hung off. And if I do, I'll tuck it under at the end here. Get my back off. Oh, I'm gonna put a new one there. That one didn't feel like it was too sturdy when I was gluing it down or putting it on there. Let's just get ourselves a nice long piece here. Let's put that one down here. Yeah, that's nice and sturdy now. All right. So let's attach this last piece on, and then we're going to work on our words. So we're going to put this here, make sure that that piece, I'm going to hang it down just a little bit more. And I do need an anchor. I just wanted to double check before I stuck it too hard. I do need a mini there. So let's, oops. I have a hard time getting those off without using the take your pick tool. I try, but the take your pick tool is the way to go. All right, so then I'm gonna add this here. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna trim the excess that's sticking off with my paper snips. I'm just gonna follow right along the edge of my card and trim away anything that sticks out. We'll toss that stuff in the trash. And now we're gonna work on our words. So we're gonna work on this. So this is embossed, white embossing on my black paper. It's our basic black. And we use the embossing on there. So I'm gonna set this section aside for right now. We have to pick our flower for the inside, and I think I'm gonna do this one. So let me grab my snips and I'll just snip this out real quick. So I want to go around this and kind of straighten that out. We're gonna come down on this side and trim this section out, and then we're gonna go just around this leaf right here and just remove that like so, okay? And I'm actually going to snip this stem out. I didn't do it on my original card, but I think it will look better if I just have the one stem. So we're just gonna have that part for the inside. And then you can save these for another card if you want, or you can just get rid of them. So we'll add this to the inside of our card right there, which adds our cute little daisy to the inside. Let me go ahead and glue that down so it'll be adhering while we are working on our embossing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add some wet adhesive. I'm using my silicone mat, which is this mat that's under here, because every time I use wet glue, inevitably I have a little bit of extra that gets on my surface, and this way it gets on my mat and not on my fingers, not on my surface down here. So we're gonna go ahead and attach our flower on the inside, let that set, and let's go ahead and work now on our words for the top. So we're gonna do "You Are One of a Kind." So this is just one stamp. It says "You Are One of a Kind." We're gonna use our Versamark ink. So it's like a sticky watermark ink pad. And we're gonna use our basic black cardstock. And I'm just gonna, I'm actually gonna bring the pad to the stamp. It'll be easier because it's kind of a long one. So I'm gonna just ink that up. Give it plenty of ink, and then we're going to press it down onto our cardstock here. We're going to give it a nice press, and see how sticky it is? It stays stuck to our oh my, there it is. Okay, so you probably can't see the words, but trust me, they're there. I'll try and hold it up to the camera and see if you guys can see, but it actually is there. And you're gonna see now in a second, because This is white embossing powder. They come in a small little jar like this. And I poured them into these containers because to me, it's a lot easier to work with than a small little jar. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold on to this corner and I'm just gonna slide it in, and then I'm gonna slide it back, and then I'm gonna tap the excess powder kind of back into, and see how the words really are there. So I'm just going to use my fingers. There's a little bit of extra powder. It's very fine, this powder, so it does tend to attach itself where it's not wanted. So what I do is I have a brush that I keep next to me. It's a pretty fine point. It's not really small, but it's a pretty fine brush. And what I do is I bring it in and I wipe away any extra. Let's see if I can get this little piece in between. I have to be really careful. So there we go. And remove that extra powder from the inside there. Okay, so looks like we just have another little dot right here, and other than that, I think we're good. All right, so there is our embossing powder. I'm gonna close my Versamark ink pad, put my brush away, and I'm actually gonna clean my stamp because if not, I'll forget. So if you don't have one of these, they're pretty awesome. They're a chamois, and they're just add water, and then you can either pick it up and, you know, run it across your stamps, or this is a stamp case I put it in. It doesn't come with a stamp case, but you can purchase those and put it in there if that's what you're interested in doing, or you could just keep it in a baggie or something like that. So let me grab my heat gun, and it's going to be a little bit loud, so if you want to mute for a minute, you can. I'll wave my hand when I'm done. So I'm going to hold this corner here and start my heat gun, and then I'm just going to bring it over the top of my powder, and I'm going to melt that powder, and as it melts, it's going to get kind of like a little hard, and it's going to get a little bit of a sheen to it. Okay, so I'm waving my hands so that you know. I do take my paper snips, and if there's any flakes of powder anywhere, if you get it right after you use your heat gun, you can pretty much scratch them away, which is nice if there's any little small flecks that you didn't see, because like I said, the powder is super fine and sometimes it's hard to see, but you can kind of flake them away. And then I like to use my chalk marker, which Stampin' Up doesn't sell this anymore. Well, it just recently retired. And if there's any dots of black that show, I just kind of daub my chalk marker over the top of it and kind of fill in. But you can use any kind of white marker that you have, or white pen, and fill in if there's any spots. I don't really have very many on this, but sometimes you get them. And so now what we're going to do is we are going to cut this apart. And so I'm going to use my little small guillotine cutter, and I'm going to first start cutting down the sides like this. And then I'm going to trim away from the top and from the bottom. All right. And now we're going to cut these apart. so that I can attach them separately. So I'm just kind of putting my trimmer right in between the two letters. The stamp is perfect where it gives you that nice little even spacing in between the two pieces. And so here they are. You are one of a kind. So we are going to use dimensionals again. So I'm going to pull those out, and I'm going to put 2 on the back of each of these. And then we will add a bow to the corner. I'll show you the original card here in a second. We're going to add this bow and then these dots. It'll only take a minute now. I'm going to go ahead and pull all of the backs off and have them ready to place. Okay, I don't want them to stick to me. So let me throw away these dimensionals and then do these last 2 here. And here's the last one. Okay, so now let's go ahead and place them on our card. So I'm going to do the word R first because it's the center, and I'm actually going to bring it down so you're not going to see the bottom of my card because I really need to be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm not going to press it into place because I just want to make sure that these are centered how I want them. And if they're not, I can shift them over as long as I don't push them down too hard. I just let them sit. All right, that looks pretty awesome. What do you guys think? So I'm going to go ahead and push those down. And now I'm going to do the last 2. I'm going to kind of center these a little bit underneath. And again, I'm not going to push them in case I need to move them. That looks pretty good. So there we go. You are one of a kind. And we're going to add our ribbon. This is a 6-inch piece of our black and white gingham ribbon. I love this ribbon. I like that we can color it with our Stampin' Blends and make it whatever color we want with black, hot pink and black, green and black, yellow and black. It's a pretty cool ribbon. All right, so we're gonna, little by little, I'm gonna get these as small as I want it, and I'm just slowly tightening the knot as I pull on these little legs here so that I get my bow the right size. All right, so there it is. I'm happy with that. I'm going to use a mini glue dot. They come in a roll like this, and then you just have to pick them up by attaching your piece to them, and then they stick to the back. And I'm going to add this one over here. I'm actually going to put it right there in that open space, and then I'm going to trim the ends. I like to use a pair of scissors that are just for ribbon. And so I'm just going to trim these ends like that. Very happy with how that looks so far. And then we're going to add our black dots, which is the finishing touch, don't you think? Don't you think the black dots make it? Oh, it looks so awesome with those black dots. So let's move the mini glue dots out of the way. And let's bring in our dots. You can see the card without the dots. And now I'm gonna add our dots. So they come in 2 sizes. I'm gonna use my Take Your Pick tool. We're gonna use the opposite end, which has putty on there. And I'm gonna use a large dot up here in the corner, and then a large and a small. I'm gonna grab my small one right there. Don't you think that looks awesome? Oh, that looks so good. I'm so happy with how that turned out. All right, so let's get these dimensionals out of the camera. I'll bring my stamp sets back in so you guys can see what I used. I used Slim Sayings and Daisy Garden. Let's put those in camera here so you guys can see. And here are the cards. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I had the best time making it for you. I'm so grateful to have you here with me. Thanks for hanging out. Definitely give me a thumbs up. Check my blog, inkyhandswarmhearts.com, where I do blog every single day. There's lots of inspiration there for you. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll get notifications of when I post new videos. And definitely share my video, pin my video. If it's something that you want to see later on, you can do that. You can click the share and then Pinterest, and then you can pin it to one of your boards. So do that. Comment and let me know how you thought about this card, and if there's anything else you're interested in seeing. I appreciate your time, guys. This is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!